Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're stepping into a narrative world that is honestly unlike anything we usually cover. We're going to explore a really chilling, graphic novel driven by a terrifying entity known as the Spirit of Pure Negation. We're looking at the Parables of the Lead Horizon, which is this profoundly dark Gothic fable that completely upends how we view life, struggle, and existence itself. So, get ready, because we are definitely leaving the comforting light behind for this one.
Right from the jump, you can just feel this incredibly oppressive tone. As you read these words, I want you to imagine the dark color palettes of the graphic novel. It shows the fading light of a dying world, and the reader's surroundings are literally decaying into this heavily inked Gothic darkness. You really have to understand that this narrative is not your typical hero's journey. There's no salvation here. Instead, these parables are designed to deliver what the text calls a malicious enlightenment. It's a deliberate, methodical tearing down of the vibrant, living world, replacing it entirely with an overwhelming sense of the void.
So what's driving this dark narrator? Well, it all boils down to what the text calls its cosmic creed. And this creed isn't about ruling the world, right? It's about erasing it. It's this deeply cynical wisdom demanding the total unraveling of the world into an everlasting quiet. By doing that, it completely undermines the importance of individual identity, or really, existence in general. To the spirit of pure negation, putting an absolute end to the chaotic struggle that we humans falsely cherish is literally the only logical conclusion.
Section 1. The Creeping Cosmic Mistake.
The source does this brilliant job of illustrating a really jarring shift in perspective by contrasting two major concepts. First, you have living friction. This is where all growth, vitality, and human striving are basically described as a messy structural error. And then, this is pitted against the perfectly flat plane, which is presented as the flawless, corrected reality of dust. The crucial takeaway here is that according to this creed, your world was never a masterpiece meant to be preserved. No, it's just a creeping cosmic mistake. It's a mere interruption of the void's absolute perfection. And the Spirit actually taunts everyone who's just trying to survive. It declares that human vitality is an error, that it's here to smooth out into a perfectly flat plane of dust. The arrogance of the Spirit is just palpable in the text. I mean, it doesn't even see itself as a destroyer. It sees itself as a corrector. It looks at the decaying surroundings of this Gothic fable and just sees progress toward a necessary silence.
Section 2. The Final Honest Death.
The Spirit of Negation believes we're clinging to all these ridiculous illusions that meticulously need to be stripped away. We're talking about the burden of striving, the pain of loss, the inherent deception of life, and what it calls the arrogant vitality of existence. The text basically argues that life is inherently deceptive because it forces us to put value on things that are ultimately transient. They're meaningless. It tells us that the false warmth of hope just keeps humanity trapped in a pointless cycle of pain. Listen closely to how the Spirit speaks directly to the dying villagers here. It says, "To die is to finally be honest." By shedding that burden of striving and letting go of all those illusions we just talked about, the ultimate truth is finally achieved. In this incredibly bleak philosophy, death is literally the only state that is completely devoid of lies.
Once you strip away all those illusions, what's left? Well, the resulting lead horizon stands before the reader. The source describes this as the only landscape in existence that has never lied. And why is that? Because it promises absolutely nothing. It offers no false hope, and it harbors zero arrogant vitality. It is just the beautifully honest, decaying reality of a world returning to dust. Section 3. Thieves of the Void.
Here, the source starkly contrasts two profound ideas. We value warmth and life, right? We call this chaotic struggle our home. But according to the Cosmic Creed, this warmth is nothing more than cosmic larceny. The graphic novel directly compares the arrogance of living things to the undeniable truth of the void, which is, of course, absolute inorganic calm. The Spirit literally preaches to the villagers that their very heartbeat is a stolen commodity. Their heat and will to survive, merely a temporary theft from the void. It's a fascinating and honestly deeply unsettling way to look at life. It frames the simple, everyday act of existing as a literal crime against the natural order of nothingness, creating this massive cosmic debt that no amount of human effort can ever possibly repay.
So how do you pay back a debt like that? Well, you don't. It's collected from you. This temporary theft from the void must be forcefully returned. The parables teach that the chaotic struggle of existence is ultimately settled by bringing all things back to their rightful inorganic calm.
It's a complete erasure of everything living, presented as just a simple balancing of the cosmic ledger.
Section 4. Parable of Vain Delay.
The Creed lays out what it sees as our pathetic little trajectory in 3 totally inescapable steps. Step 1 is the theft of heat, which is birth and life. Step 2 is the wasted effort of prayer, basically our struggle to maintain that life against our decaying surroundings. And finally, Step 3 is the everlasting quiet, the inevitable end. It completely mocks the sheer utility of any human expression or action.
Just think about the absolute weight of this statement from the source. Every spoken word, every desperate plea is just a delay of the everlasting quiet. Prayers, actions, trying to build things, they're all categorized entirely as wasted effort. They don't change the outcome. They merely serve to postpone the inevitable void for a few meaningless seconds.
The spirit of pure negation just revels in taunting these attempts at survival. It states, "Your hollow echoes cannot stop the perfect, undisturbed quiet." It really underscores the absolute futility of hope against the creeping cosmic shadow. You can shout into the darkness all you want, but the darkness doesn't care. It simply waits for you to run out of breath.
And finally, Section 5. Welcome to Everlasting Quiet.
The silence of the void here is absolute. It's literally swallowing the very last fragments of the decaying surroundings. That structural error of growth and vitality? It's been corrected. The temporary theft of heat has finally been returned. The world has been successfully reduced to that perfectly flat plane of dust that the Spirit envisioned from the very beginning.
Consider this incredibly chilling final thought posed by the text as our screen fades to black. Did you truly think you could outrun the void? Did you really believe your temporary theft could last forever? These parables force us to look at the absolute darkest possible interpretation of existence, leaving you completely alone in an inescapable dark. It's a stark, fascinating philosophy that entirely flips how we view our place in the universe. I hope this explainer of the lead horizon give you a lot to think about today, even if it is a little terrifying.